When you say the words, tell me more, something powerful happens. You shift the focus from yourself to the other person, and that's where real connection begins. These four words are not filler, they are an open invitation. They tell someone that you're not waiting to talk, you're actually here to listen. And in a world where everyone is fighting to be heard, that kind of attention is magnetic. People don't just like being listened to, they crave it. When you look someone in the eye and calmly say, tell me more, you're giving them permission to be real, and that's what creates attraction that goes beyond the surface. Most conversations today are battles for airtime. We talk to reply, not to understand. But when you drop those four words into a conversation, you instantly change the dynamic. You disarm the other person's need to prove, defend, or perform. You give them space to breathe. You're not saying, I agree with you. You're saying, I'm interested. And that small shift tells the other person that they matter. When people feel valued, they open up, and that's when the real version of them shows up, the one hidden behind politeness, small talk, and social masks. That's when chemistry begins to form naturally. These words work because they touch something deep in human psychology, the need to be understood. Everyone walks around with a silent question in their head. Does anyone really get me? The moment you say, tell me more, you answer that question without needing to explain it. It's simple, it's powerful, and it cuts through emotional distance like nothing else. You're not performing a trick, you're giving empathy in action. The beauty is, people remember the way you made them feel safe enough to speak freely. That's what makes you stand out. That's what makes you unforgettable. When you listen this way, you're also showing quiet confidence. You're comfortable not having all the attention. You're secure enough to let the conversation breathe. Most people talk because silence makes them nervous, but real power lies in being able to stay silent and let others express themselves. Tell me more gives that silence purpose. It's not awkward anymore. It's intentional, and the person in front of you feels it. They sense that they don't have to rush, they don't have to filter, and they don't have to impress. You become the person they naturally gravitate toward because you give them what no one else does: presence. Over time, those four words become your secret advantage. In dating, in friendships, in business, it's all the same. Everyone wants to be seen beyond the surface. The more you use tell me more genuinely, the more people trust you. They'll start associating you with emotional safety, curiosity, and sincerity. Three qualities that make someone deeply attractive without even trying. You're not using this phrase as manipulation. You're using it to bridge the gap between talking and understanding. Because the truth is, attraction isn't about what you say to impress, it's about what you say to connect. So next time you're in a conversation and someone shares something, a story, a feeling, even a small detail, pause for a second, lean in, and simply say, tell me more. Watch what happens. Their tone softens, their body relaxes, their guard drops. In that moment, they don't just like you, they trust you. And trust is the deepest form of attraction there is. Those four words don't just change the way people see you, they change the way people feel around you. That's how you go from being noticed to being remembered. Most people go into conversations trying to perform, to impress, to sound interesting, to prove they belong. But real attraction doesn't come from performance, it comes from connection. The truth is, when you're trying too hard to win someone over, you end up losing what makes you magnetic in the first place: your authenticity. Saying, tell me more, removes that pressure. It's not about trying to be clever or funny, it's about being genuinely curious. It's about showing someone that your attention isn't conditional. You're not trying to get something from them, you're just present. And in that simplicity, people feel a kind of comfort that's rare to find. You can feel it when someone's performing in a conversation. Their words might sound polished, but their energy is restless. They're thinking more about what to say next than about what you're actually saying. On the other hand, someone who focuses on connection doesn't need to dominate the room. They make space for others, and that space is where attraction grows. When you say, tell me more, you stop performing and start relating. You show that you're not afraid of silence or depth. You don't need the spotlight, you just need honesty, and people feel that difference immediately. Connection over performance also means you stop making conversations about you. When someone shares something, most of us instinctively respond with, "Oh yeah, that happened to me too." It's not bad, but it shifts the focus back to yourself. Tell me more does the opposite. It hands the mic back to them. It says, I'm here. Keep going. And that's the foundation of emotional intimacy. It's not about giving advice or fixing anything. It's about making someone feel safe enough to be real. When people feel emotionally safe, their guard drops, their tone softens, and suddenly the conversation feels alive. That's connection. Think about the last time you felt drawn to someone you just met. It probably wasn't because they had all the right words. It was because they made you feel understood. That's what connection over performance looks like. You weren't memorizing their lines, you were feeling their presence. Tell me more builds that same presence every time you use it. It gives others permission to open up, which in turn deepens your bond. The funny thing is, when you stop trying to impress people, that's when you actually become impressive. Because real confidence doesn't need to perform. It listens, it observes, it connects. This mindset shift also changes how you handle tension or disagreement. A performer gets defensive when challenged. A connector gets curious. Instead of reacting, they pause and say, tell me more. That single phrase turns confrontation into collaboration. It shows emotional maturity, and people instinctively trust maturity. You become someone who doesn't add fuel to conflict, but brings calm to it. That's a deeply attractive quality, the ability to make others feel heard even in disagreement. It's the mark of someone who leads with understanding, not ego. So stop rehearsing what to say next. Stop overthinking how you come across. Instead, start caring more about how others feel when they're around you. Ask questions that invite openness. Listen without rushing to respond. And when in doubt, just say those 4 words, tell me more. It's not a trick, it's a connection tool, because at the end of the day, people won't remember your cleverness or your stories. They'll remember the way you made them feel safe enough to share theirs. That's how you move from performing for attention to creating real attraction, by choosing connection every single time. When you say, tell me more, you trigger something powerful in the brain, the psychology of listening. Most people underestimate how deeply our need to be heard runs. It's not just emotional, it's chemical. When someone feels genuinely listened to, their brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It creates warmth, safety, and trust. So when you use those 4 words, you're not just being polite, you're activating a sense of connection at a biological level. People don't even realize why they feel drawn to you. They just know they do. That's the invisible power of real listening. It literally rewires how someone feels around you. Think about it. In every conversation, people are subconsciously scanning for signals. Am I being heard? Am I being judged? Do I matter here? When you look someone in the eye and say, tell me more, you answer all those questions with one sentence. You create a safe psychological space where they can drop their guard. And when someone feels safe with you, attraction naturally follows. Because safety and attraction are not opposites, they're partners. You can't build genuine attraction without emotional safety first. That's why people are drawn to good listeners. They make others feel calm, accepted, and understood. The psychology of listening also flips the script on how power works in conversation. Most people think the one who talks the most holds control, but in truth, it's the listener who has the real influence. When you say, tell me more, you subtly take the lead, not by dominating the conversation, but by guiding it. You're steering attention with quiet confidence. You're showing that you don't need to prove anything. You're here to understand. That's the kind of presence that commands respect and curiosity without saying much at all. People can sense that calm authority, and they gravitate toward it. Another reason Tell Me More works is because it satisfies the universal human craving for validation. Every person wants to feel like their experiences and opinions matter. When you give them your attention, they feel validated. But when you invite them to keep going, to elaborate, to go deeper, you're giving them more than validation. You're giving them a stage to be themselves without interruption. That's rare. Most conversations are transactional. This one becomes emotional. And emotions, not logic, are what truly bond people together. You're giving them a small but unforgettable experience, being seen. You'll notice something else when you practice this level of listening. People start opening up faster. They'll tell you things they haven't shared with anyone else, not because you pried, but because they felt safe. That's the reward of genuine curiosity. You create space for others to be real, and that's what forms meaningful connections. Over time, people remember that feeling and associate it with you. It's not manipulation, it's empathy in motion. The simple act of saying, "Tell me more," becomes your superpower for building trust and emotional closeness effortlessly. So, next time you're talking to someone, slow down. Don't rush to fill the silence. Watch their eyes, notice their tone, and when they start to share something important, lean in slightly and say, "Tell me more." It doesn't matter if it's about their day, their dreams, or something small. The effect is the same. You're giving them the gift of being heard, and in return, you'll find that people will start listening to you differently too. Because when you make others feel valued, you naturally become more valuable in their eyes. That's the psychology of listening. Simple, quiet, and incredibly powerful. Confidence isn't always loud. In fact, the most powerful kind of confidence is often quiet, the kind that doesn't need to fill every pause or dominate every conversation. When you say, "Tell me more," you're showing exactly that kind of confidence. You're not rushing to prove your point or showcase your intelligence. You're comfortable giving the floor to someone else. Most people mistake talking for strength, but real strength lies in control. Control over your words, your emotions, and your silence. Those who can stay calm, listen deeply, and hold space without needing to interrupt radiate a kind of quiet authority that draws people in. Silence used to make you nervous because it felt like a gap to fill. But when you grow in confidence, silence becomes your ally. It becomes a sign that you're secure enough not to chase validation. Tell Me More transforms silence into connection. It's an intentional pause that keeps the conversation alive without pressure. The person speaking